Hello everyone, welcome to the deep dive. I'm Chris Pajak. That man right there is Josh Williams, and we are going to be scouting Virgil Van Dijk, his successor at Liverpool Football Club, because of this tweet that we've seen, which cited James Pearce, as well as a centre-back, holding midfielder and attacking wide player have also been discussed. However, considering they have a youthful squad that's packed with potential, this was never going to be a busy summer in terms of incomings, and then carries on. Much depends on who steps up during pre-season, what gaps still need to be filled as Slot assesses the squad. So, I'm just going to read that a little bit slower. As well as a centre-back, a holding midfielder and attacking midfield player have also been discussed. I don't know about you, Josh. I read that as centre-backs have definitely been discussed and are a priority, and a holding midfielder and attacking wide player have also been discussed. I don't know whether you read that the same way.
Yeah, and I think that's right as well. I'm happy with that. You know, I think we've got a desperate need for centre-half. Matip's just gone. I know Gonçalo's coming through, but Konaté's never fit, and Virgil's getting on now. 33, is he?
Just turned, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've known for a while that we need a new centre-half, whereas the six and the forwards, we already have options there, you know what I mean? I think we've got a lot of midfielders, no specialists, but we've got a lot of midfielders. 5 top quality forwards and no one leaves. So, yeah, centre-back's the priority in it, but as we're going to get into, they're really difficult to find.
They are really difficult to find. We've been linked to loads and loads of players over the last sort of month or so. We'll try and get through as many as we can in terms of what their stats look like in comparison to Virgil van Dijk. But I say we're going to look at what their stats look like. It's very difficult to scout a centre-half on FBref and through statistics, isn't it? So what are some of the reasons that that's the case for you? Because we talk about it quite often, but I don't know whether we've ever actually explained it fully. Now, I've got a little graphic here of Gabriel versus Jared Brandtwaite. I could bring that up as a good starting point if you want.
Yeah, go on.
So we can see, oh, sorry everybody, I'll go back here. So that's Gabriel versus Jared Brandtwaite. You can't actually see that because I'm too zoomed in. Jared Brandtwaite is in red, Gabriel is in blue. Now, if you were to judge it on just that, the defensive statistics are all basically over to that right-hand side, and the passing stuff is all on the left-hand side. If you were to just look at that, Jared Brandtwaite looks 10 times the defender of Gabriel, and yet Gabriel's one of the top defenders in the league. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what makes it see. Like, what that basically visualises really is Brandtwaite is having to defend more. That's the main thing in it. But Brandtwaite is defending more often. Gabriel, it's a bit of a unit thing. Arsenal dominate the ball. The ball's never really in Arsenal's penalty box anyway, so he doesn't have to do any clearances or anything like that. So, yeah, I think when it comes to Brandtwaite, he's going to show up as a busy defender because Everton are defending a lot. And that's the problem. Generally, when you're looking at attackers, it's a lot easier because attackers, like, generally, it's a rule of thumb when it comes to like the final third and that. The more you're doing, the better. The more shots you're having, the more XG you're generating, the more chances you're creating. You know, everything. The more passes into the penalty box, it's all good stuff. So, to an extent, the bigger the radar that we've just shown, the more the player's doing in attack. When it comes to defenders, a lot of it is about what you don't do in it. Yeah. A lot of it's about like Van Dijk's always the example. I've just got up very quickly while you were speaking then. So over the course of the past year, Van Dijk has completed fewer tackles on average than Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel Jesus, a striker. Van Dijk is averaging fewer tackles over the past year than Jesus is. When Van Dijk's regarded as the best centre-half in the world, and the man on the street, if you were to ask the man on the street, what metrics do you use to identify a good defender, he would probably say tackles, because it's a defender, not the case. So how do you navigate that, you know what I mean?
Well, I think for me, what I look at is progressive passes, how much are they building play for you. But in terms of the defending side of things, I think the only thing that we can do as football fans is look at the eyeball test, isn't it?
Exactly.
How well do they do in one-on-one duels? Yeah. There's great stats out there about not being dribble pass for a year. That's great. Like, you know what I mean? But that's nothing, is it? In fact, yeah, it's very, very difficult, isn't it? So let's take a look at Virgil's then on his FBref right now. In terms of shots, he's top 1%.
But to be fair, that was an insight into his threat from set pieces.
Exactly. In terms of touches in the attack and penalty area, again, I would say exactly the same. Threat from set pieces. Aerials 1, I think, is definitely something.
Yeah.
You know, top 3%. And then if you look at the defensive stats, tackles, interceptions, blocks, clearances, all shite.
Yeah.
Absolutely all shite. But then Liverpool dominate the ball, as you say. So this is outcome-based statistics. So when you dominate the ball and you have 60-70% during games, you're not going to have many tackles, you're not going to have many interceptions, you're not going to have many blocks or clearances, are you? So,
exactly, yeah. If you're looking at that and you're trying to get a read on Van Dijk, you could probably say, right, he's brilliant in the air. That's true.
Yeah.
He's progressive on the ball. That's true. He's a threat from set pieces. That's true. And in terms of shot creating actions, he contributes to Liverpool's attack and moves from deeper areas. Again, that's true. But that shines no light at all on how good he is defensively, how good he is 1v1.
There's no stat for reading the game.
No, there's no how quick
Why?
he is. I don't know. It's impossible, isn't it? How quick he is.
Yeah.
Strength. You know, I don't know. Things like that. But when it comes to a forward, the meaningful stuff shows up on the numbers, so you can see what, you know, the elements that matter and all that. With Van Dijk, you can see elements of it, bits of it that I've just touched on. It's good stuff, but you know, he's in the bottom 18% for tackles of centre halves in Europe. 45th percentile for interceptions, clearances, 53rd percentile. These are ordinary numbers, or they look ordinary anyway. But that doesn't mean he's bad. It's just lacking context, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we're going to do something we did a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, when we looked at scouting Mo Salah's successor. So to start us off, I've picked a few of the stats for Virgil van Dijk, and you can see some of them on your screen right now. I've done it by minutes. I've done it by progressive passes into the final third, pass completion, tackles per 90, interceptions per 90, clearances per 90, win percentage for aerial duels. Yeah. So they're the ones that I've done. Now, there is one player with the same stats as Virgil van Dijk in Europe's top 5 leagues over the last 2 seasons, and it's Virgil van Dijk, because again, we're looking at outcome-based stuff. So I've taken them down a few notches, some of them, to see if we can garner a few players that are similar. Now, it's still not a big list, and I had to come down quite a way on quite a few stats. And when I was doing this earlier on, I had to take some stats out completely because there was just no one showing up, and it was mad. But we've got Nico Schlotterbeck from Dortmund, of course. We've got Badiashile from Chelsea. We've got Joe Gomez from Liverpool, obviously. Dan Axel Zagadou.
You said Zagadou then?
I did. And Juan Jesus. Now, I think we can rule out Juan Jesus because he's 31 years old. I think I would...
Is he from Roma, is he?
He was at Napoli when he recorded this, so 22-23, because I went back 2 seasons.
Right. Okay.
Dan Axel Zagadou, Stuttgart, and Badiashile and Schlotterbeck, I think, are probably interesting players to have a look at. So we'll actually start off, Josh, with I think it is Badiashile, who is obviously a Chelsea centre-half. He's a centre-back. He's left-footed, which is interesting, isn't it? Because do you think...
How are you spelling the surname?
B-A-D-I.
Oh, okay.
Do you think Liverpool should be looking for a left-footed, left-sided centre-half in the long term?
Well, this is the big question, eh? I would love to know.
What's the table there, mate? I've done that so many times. I was trying to blend it there,
mate. Nice one for that.
Sorry, lads. I'll do it for you as well. There you go.
We ain't quite that level, like. Yeah, I think this is the big question, innit? This is the big question as to, like, how much does it matter?
Yeah.
A lot of coaches in the modern day seem to think it does. But I would love to hear from someone like a Spearman or an Ian Graham. How much does it matter? You know, actual science behind it, because it's always very like abstract almost when they're describing, like, you know, how you can play quicker passes in that direction. And they're not wrong, these comments. Guardiola's made them and all that, but does it I used an example recently in my Substack. Say you've got a left-footed centre half, the best you can find is going to be worth maybe 5 Premier League points a season to you, right? And the best right-footed centre-half you can find is going to be worth 8. Do you go for the 5-point fella because he's left-footed?
No.
Or do you get the 8 even though he's right-footed? Do you know what I mean?
You get the 8, but here's the question. If there are two centre-halves who are exactly the same ability-wise and one's right-footed, one left-footed, where are you going?
Left.
Exactly.
Easily, yeah. They're just generally a bit rarer. For every left-footer, you tend to get about 3 right-footed players. That's just across football, really, but in the Premier League as well. I would just like to know the plan with the future of Van Dijk, really. How often? Because he's made a few weird comments, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's talked about it himself. Wants to take a little bit of time and think about what the future holds at both club and international level, doesn't it? It's a strange one.
Yeah, but I wonder how often he intends on playing moving forward, because historically he's been Liverpool's 38-game fella in the Premier League every season. If that's going to continue to be the case, buying someone who's going to be in the pecking order just behind them doesn't really make that much sense yet, because that's what Liverpool did with Salah. Every year we were saying, like, oh, we need to back up Salah just in case, Liverpool were like, no, he plays every week, we'll be fine. And we got Jota at one point to be a bit of a rotation option between them all, but we've never really targeted the Salah alternative or a backup or whatever, because he's always on the pitch. So the left-footed thing, I don't know. I'd love to know how much Liverpool, as I said, think it matters.
I do think if there was two guys who are exactly the same, they'd prefer a left footer. I just think because they're much rarer, the value also goes up with those players. So I think, you know, is it worth 20 million extra for 1 point? Or can that 20 million go somewhere else? Do you know what I mean?
The only thing is as well, let's say we get in Schlotterbeck or Bastoni, who are both left-footed. And let's say you're facing Man United on the weekend or something, and Kwanzaa's injured and Kanate's injured, and you've got to play Bastoni with
Schlotterbeck.
Van Dijk.
Oh, right, okay.
Van Dijk's right-footed, but he favours the left. Bastoni is left-footed, and would obviously, because of that, want to be there. So, do you then play them in opposite?
No, you can't.
Do you know what I mean?
No, you can't do that, and you can't play two left-footed together either. But it's impossible. It's breaking the rules, Josh.
But then you play Van Dijk on the right then?
Yeah. Which I still, after you said about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the more I've thought about playing Van Dijk on the right, the more I think that's just fucking genius.
Yeah, listen, I'm fine with it, you know, I'm fine with it, but we just haven't seen it for years. Since Van Dijk's been at Liverpool, he's played there and he stays there, mate. So, if you sign a left footer and he has to play with Van Dijk, which is entirely plausible, who plays where out of the two? You can't put a left footer there and a right footer there.
You can't.
It's just wrong,
you can't. Mate. No, it's just not right, mate. But luckily, Bastoni in this example does actually play both sides anyway, so he's actually used to it. So if he prefers playing on the right, for example, and Van Dijk prefers playing on the left, I mean, it's weird, but I suppose stranger things have happened. Now, obviously, I want to just show you the Bastoni sort of comparisons, because I actually feel...
We aren't getting this fella, are we?
No.
We need to make that
clear.
No,
of course. I mean, his contract runs out in 2030.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not going to fucking happen. But in terms of what he's doing, Van Dijk is in the Reds. Oh, you fixed that well in, mate. Nice one. And Benoit Bastoni is in the blue. He actually looks comparable in terms of quite a lot of the passing metrics. His aerial duels nowhere near, progressive passes nowhere near. Those are two of the things that I'd probably look at, but not a bad comparison, I suppose.
No, and I do think he's a good centre-half as well.
I like him as well,
yeah. I think Chelsea have got a good one there. You know, he's 23 still. Apparently he's over 6'4". I didn't realise he was that big, to be honest. Then he's left-footed as well, which makes him a little bit rarer. He is a unit. He's on less than £100,000 a week, and he's got a very long contract. So Chelsea, I mean, they are nuts, but every now and then they're going to get one right, aren't they? And I think he's probably a good buy. But I think Man United will link with him as well at the time, so maybe Chelsea just got him to get him off the market, because he is a good buy, as I said, but we probably need to find the version of him that Chelsea identified from, I think he was from Monaco, wasn't he?
I don't know, but I think I found him, and I think his name is Dan Axel Zagadou. Currently with Stuttgart, left-footed centre-back, can play both sides, and a little touch of left-back, by the way, mate. Dan Axel Zagadou.
Can I just say, every time we say his name, it will be the full thing.
Yeah, you've got to.
Every single time you've got to include the Dan Axel part.
It's just the best name I've ever heard. And the song writes itself, doesn't it? Should we sing it? You're not going to sing it.
You can't, like, I'll just...
Zagadou, do. There you go. Sorry about that, everybody. He's got French citizenship, which is probably decent. I say he plays both sides of centre half. 25 years old. Got a couple of goals in his 6 caps there as well for France and stuff. So yeah, not too bad there. Obviously played under 16s, under 17s, under 18s, under 19s, under 20s, under 21s for France. So got up through that system, which is decent. Now AFCON as well to deal with because he's not playing for Ivory Coast. If you look at his stats here, Josh, right, that's a pretty close comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, it isn't the numbers. Like, I mean, we've obviously flagged that the numbers are a bit dodgy when it comes to assessing centre halves. One of my questions would be, why is he not playing every week for Stuttgart? Like, he starts 16 out of their 34 games last season, so just under half of them. Features in 19 of them, including, the 3 as a substitute then. So, if he's not starting for Stuttgart, why would that be? Would be my question. I don't know if he was injured or anything like that, but
he was injured. He got a cruciate ligament tear in 23-24, missed 16 games.
Right. Is he still injured then?
He was injured until the 30th of June, apparently, just gone.
Right.
So he basically missed half.
He's come back from a heavy one then, yeah.
But to be fair, if you look at the injury history, it is not pretty reading.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. Other than that though, like, profile-wise, he does have a lot going for him. Like, he's even bigger than Badashile. Apparently he's 6'5". Again, left-footed, 25, earning a reasonable wage. 2 years on a deal. Really, really good in the air. Accustomed to having the ball by the looks of it. So, lots of boxes ticked, like, to be fair to him, but you're not going to buy him on the back of an injury like that, are you?
No, probably not. I'm not looking at his injury history, but there's a good little one that started through up for us there. A player that we've been linked with for years now is Gonçalo Inácio. Again, can play all across the back line, left-footed as well. This is a player that we've looked at loads, still only 22 years old, Josh. I mean, he's got to be in Liverpool's thinking if they are looking for a long-term successor. Yeah,
I think the only thing, in comparison to Van Dijk, he does feel very different though. He's not as, like, physically imposing. He's not as amazing 1v1. He's a bit more of a ball player. A bit like maybe a bit like a Ben White vibe, which isn't bad, but, like, it depends if Liverpool want that, but I'd just say he's left-footed, which makes him a little bit more rare. He's only 22, about to turn 23. And every single time I check the Portuguese Premier League, he's in the top 2 players in the league for progressive passes. Yeah, and he's in the 99th.
What is it? You can see it here on my screen, 8.56 progressive passes per 90. Now, if I remember, Van Dijk's around between 4 and 5. And Van Dijk does it a lot. I'm just going to double check that. 5.59, for Virgil Van Dijk over the last 365 days. So 8.56 is
so he's
pretty impressive.
He's very forward thinking. He's definitely a ball player between the lines and all that, passing feeding his midfielders and stuff. Could stem from what Amarim's asking of him for Sporting, but the player's also got to be good enough to do it. So I think he's in that mould, but just in comparison to Van Dijk as a defender, which again we can't really use numbers for, he's just not as, like, imposing. He's not as massive. He's like apparently 6'1", whereas some of the options we've already talked about are a lot bigger. I think if you was to put him on the halfway line with, I don't know, give me a random Premier League forward.
Okay.
With a little bit of speed.
Oh, United centre forward.
Højlund.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you was to give him Højlund on the halfway line, I think Van Dijk would just probably deal with him.
Yeah.
Inácio, I would have a bit more of a question mark on that with, like, even like a Garnacho or Son Heung-min or Modric or someone like that. Just anyone with a bit of pace who can be tricky 1v1. Liverpool usually, especially under Edwards, when Edwards was at the club, the criteria for a centre half for Liverpool.
Rapid.
Yeah, I said this on my podcast today. It was basically our centre half will be bigger than you, stronger than you, and faster than you. As a base, that's the bare minimum. Our centre half will have that on you. Inácio's great on the ball, but I don't know if he has those things.
Question for you then, not riffing off the back of that. That was, I think, fairly evident during Jurgen Klopp's tenure as manager. It's not necessarily the same thing moving forwards.
That's very true. It depends what Slot wants, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I always figured that it was because Klopp wanted everyone to go.
Yeah.
So if everyone's going and you're leaving literally two fellas at the back, if the ball gets turned over and you've got a forward running at your ear, you need to be able to cope without support. You need to be able to shepherd them towards the sides or something like that. And if you're not that good, you'll just get skinned. I think Slot will play in a similar way, but
with a bit more control, a bit more of a safety net. Bit more
patience and stuff like that. I think we'll accelerate the game more predictably, where the team can maybe be a bit more set. So you are right, it's not necessarily an absolute given. It was just certainly when Edwards was previously at the top, it was the criteria for Liverpool centre half for the fellas to just be physically like on a different level.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, well there is Gonçalo Inácio's stats compared to Virgil Van Dijk, and again Inácio's in blue here, and he does compare particularly favourably here in many aspects. The aerial duels win percentage is crazy low, but again, Portuguese league, the defensive stats, yada yada yada. So we're going to move on to the next one then now. And the next player is Lucharel Gertrude, who we have been linked with quite a lot recently, I suppose. He's more of a right back, I would have said, than a centre half.
It's a great name, isn't it?
It's a great name. There's some good names here, but he can play centre half. He's right footed though. Contract expires 2025.
Which is good, yeah.
Which is decent.
No, I think he's a good player. I like him. I think he's good enough to leave the Netherlands now. I agree with you. I don't know if he's a true centre half. Good footballer, and I think he could play top half Premier League as a fullback, albeit one who probably did from side a little bit or something. But as a centre half, I would be unsure.
Slot knows him as well, so
yeah.
Slot would be no chance. Well, if Slot's played him at right back, the likelihood is he wouldn't play him at centre half in the Premier League, you'd say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's under 6'1" as well, so he's even shorter than Inácio. And I always think when it comes to Liverpool using like a goal difference analysis on their players, when you're scouting centre half, one of the ways in which a centre half can offer value for you is defending set pieces at one end and attacking set pieces at the other end. The first season we got Van Dijk, this is in my book, the first season we got Van Dijk in, I think Liverpool's goal difference moved to something like plus 11 in terms of goals conceded from set pieces and goals faced, goals scored from set pieces.
There's a swing on it on both.
Yeah, but I think the season before we got him, I think Liverpool's goal difference from set pieces was like plus 1. So Van Dijk had a massive impact on that. Kanate probably does too, or could. If you're getting in a centre half who's just not that big, like Gomez for example. Joe Gomez offers nothing from either box when it comes to set pieces, really, does he?
Yeah.
Because he's not big enough.
Stylistically though, on the stats, looks a very, very similar radar, doesn't it, to what Virgil van Dijk is, but again, he's definitely more of a fullback, I would say. We'll move on then. Marc Guéhi, a player that Liverpool have been linked with. We were going to sign him, we were opening talks, it's been shut down, it's been opened up again, the door shut. I've got no idea. What I will say about Marc Guéhi is I think he's a really good centre-back. I just don't think he's a really good centre-back. And I know I've used the exact names there, the exact same words, but for a reason. I think he's a really good defender.
So do I, yeah.
I just don't know if he's the heir apparent to somebody like Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, I do like him. I think he's very steady. That's probably the word for him. 24 as well. 50 grand a week. You know, Premier League proven. Decent on the ball. He's just played as part of a bit more of a higher quality unit, if you want, in England, and he didn't really look particularly out of place. He didn't look like the weak link or anything like that. But there's a few question marks in there. Number one, he's only 5'11". When I say only, I would like to be 5'11".
Same.
But as a Premier League centre half, that's not that big, and he's not slow, but he's not rapid either. And his height probably translates to his aerial wins.
Yeah, you can see that there on the screen, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, his aerial. What's his aerial? I didn't actually realise that's aerial wins, isn't it?
Yeah.
As opposed to his dual success. Let me see what his dual success is.
So it's low anyway. It's 1.29 aerial wins per 90.
So he wins. Yeah, that's funny, isn't it?
50%.
So in the season just gone, he won 29 headers and lost 29 headers.
That's pretty impressive. Well done, you.
And in the season before, he won 54 and lost 43. So generally, it's a flip of a coin as to whether or not Guéhi win a header. But
Virgil Van Dijk's last season was 81.7 win percentage in the Premier League as well.
And Guéhi's just 50, yeah. But I do like him, and I do think.
I just don't think he's a progressor, to be honest with you.
On the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that for me, like if we look at it in terms of that, actually, you know, Virgil van Dijk dwarfs him in every category, but progressive passes is a monstrous difference there for me. And that's what I see when I watch him as well, to be honest with you.
I think, I mean, we're not going to go for him because he's too old, but I actually think Anderson is better than him.
Oh, his partner?
Yeah.
He shows up really well in some of the stats and stuff as well, to be honest with you, Joe Anderson.
Yeah, he's 28, 6'3". Offers more of a threat, I think, and a more defensive ability from set pieces and stuff, better on the ball and everything. But we're not going to go for him. But with Guéhi, I do think he's probably approaching that point where he's going to move. What level do you think, though? Top 6?
I think he's top 6.
I do, yeah.
I just don't know whether he's Premier League centre-back, Premier League winning centre-back.
I think an acid test can sometimes just be, would Guardiola sign him?
Yeah, I don't think he would.
And if he wouldn't, he's probably not of the level. Do you know what I mean? But I do think he's good. I think he's like Spurs.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, maybe Spurs level. I don't know.
Okay.
But if Liverpool went for him, I'd probably find a way to get on board with it. Like.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, if it's between Marc Guéhi and no one, I'd sign Marc Guéhi.
And he's an interesting one too, in the sense that he's like Virgil, as in he's right-footed but plays on the left. So if both of them will fit, Guéhi just moves there and it's fine. Virgil plays in his usual spec. If Virgil's out, Guéhi plays there. You know, so interesting.
Okay. Another couple of players we'll just briefly touch on these. William Pacho is a player that we've been linked with from Frankfurt. Another left-footed, left-sided centre-back, as you can see there. 22 years of age. I'm just going to quickly shoot straight over to the stats. And he shows up really well. I mean, Frankfurt obviously, you know, a lot more defensive, but in terms of the passing and stuff, not quite as good. Don't really want to speak too much, but is this a player that you know and like? Or?
To be fair, he's one that I would like to do my homework more on. I've heard good things and stuff like that. He looks like he's an interesting profile because he's over 6 foot, left-footed, 22. You know, all good little boxes ticked, and I think he plays all the time as well. Let's have a look. Yeah, so he started in each of the past 2 seasons. He started every single game in the league except one. Okay. So he's available often as well. But in terms of his ability as a player, I'd probably have to watch him a bit more.
Okay. We'll move on then to a player that Liverpool have been linked with, Mohamed Simakan. Now, what is he? He's a right-footed centre-half, 24 years old. We'll have all seen the videos flying around of him and stuff like that. Now, in terms of the stats and stuff, he actually looks like a pretty good defender in quite a lot of ways. What is it that you know about him?
Well, I think one of the interesting things that first took my attention was just, I just immediately thought Michael Edwards, Red Bull.
Yeah.
Again, that was something that he really, you know, made use of. Timo Werner nearly joined from a Red Bull side. We agreed to deal with Naby Keita in advance. Kanate, again, Red Bull. Minamino, Red Bull. Sadio Mane had a Red Bull past. So that's something that we kind of always play on because of the stylistic similarities between both sides, both clubs. So the fact he's already there, I think immediately it's just one way I'm personally a bit more like, well, you can't rule that out then. Yeah. Just because he's at a Red Bull club, to be honest. But profile-wise, he feels a little bit Joe Gomez.
Yeah,
in the sense that the full-back centre-half hybrid, a little bit.
Yeah, well, he's played 104 appearances at centre-back, 48 at right-back. 2 defensive midfield, 2 right midfield, which is quite interesting, I suppose. In terms of his actual sort of FB ref stats, though, I mean, when you compare him to full-backs, bloody hell, he's absolutely incredible. Oh, sorry, when you compare him to centre-backs, he's top percentile in almost every category there. When you compare him to full-backs, now it depends for me, is where did he play last season? Because if he played last season as a full-back and you compare him to centre-backs, well, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Where were those 48 games? Were they the season just gone? Because the videos of him running down the wing look like he's played full-back to me there.
Yeah, it's tricky, innit? He started 23 times in the Bundesliga last season, 18 times in the season before. But maybe Liverpool just kind of are after that kind of versatile option at the back, maybe. I mean, I think football's going that way, innit? Yeah. Arsenal keep signing, like, defenders,
centre-backs,
flexible defenders, yeah, like Timber and Calafiore, I think is similar. Ben White is similar. Maybe he would just be, an option for Liverpool to kind of mix it up potentially, but I wouldn't rule that one out.
Okay, another one. I think you'll like talking about this guy. I know you like him. Is Nico Schlotterbeck.
Yeah.
This guy is, sort of fits the bill almost perfectly, doesn't he? He's left-footed, centre-back, can play both sides, can play a little bit of left-back as well. Just been away, obviously, with Germany and stuff like that. I mean, he's got to be surely on the list.
Yeah, well, he ticks a lot of boxes. He's left-footed, he's 6'3", already playing at a high level. He just played for Germany in the Euros, just played Champions League final, with Dortmund. Starts pretty much every week as well. Let's have a look at his availability here. So last season he starts 32 out of 34. Yeah, season before, but generally good availability every season, to be honest. Always around like 2,500 minutes in the league, which is good. Scores some goals too. Last season he scored 2. Season before he scored 4. Season before he scored 4. And over that period, he's posted about 7 assists as well. I had the theory that Liverpool just would not do business with Dortmund while Klopp was there. I don't know if it was a thing, but we just never seemed to even get linked with anyone from Dortmund, apart from maybe De Hood at one point. De Hood, that was when De Hood was
at Royce as well.
Yeah.
I think that was Twitter.
De Hood was Mönchengladbach, wasn't he? And he went to Dortmund, sorry.
Did we sell Chan to Dortmund?
No. That was the Juve, weren't he?
Oh, and then he ended up at Dortmund.
Yeah, on a free. But I think Schlotterbeck, just, if you're after that left footer, a player for this spot, which I'm not sure he will be, but if you are, he's not perfect. He's got a few little weird habits on the ball and stuff like that, but he does offer a lot of value on the pitch, I think, and maybe has a bit more of an impact on your goal difference than some of the others as well. So I like him. I think he's a good player. Okay,
and here he is in comparison to Virgil van Dijk on the stats that we picked out, or I picked out, I should say. I mean, he looks like a fucking worldie there, doesn't he? Like, you know what I mean? He's involved in everything now. Again, we've talked about that, but in terms of the passing and stuff, he's just as good, if not, just as good, maybe not quite as good as Virgil, but he's got those defensive numbers to his bow as well. So really interesting.
Success is a bit weird though.
Yeah, it's low, wasn't it? It's like 1.6 something per 90.
Yeah, so he won 58 in the Bundesliga last season and lost 41, and in the season before he won 60 and lost 33. So he's alright in the air, but he's not Virgil, who is.
Okay, last one then. Bastoni. I mean, what a player.
Yeah, he's probably the best, isn't he? I think 25 now, so he's peaking. 6'3", massive wage, by the way, so we're not getting.
How much is he on?
Just under 200 grand a week.
Yeah, it's pretty big, isn't it?
And his contract is for another 4 years, so it's absolutely not happening. But he's boss. I think he's a really good player. Played in the back three as well at times. Good at a lot of things, and he's probably like, you know, what's the word? The ceiling like of the options that you're looking at for that kind of spot, but it's not happening.
No. Okay. Well, for completeness, here he is compared to Virgil Van Dijk, and by comparison, it doesn't look as good as some of the others, which goes back to the very, very start of how difficult it is to. You've got to, if you're Liverpool football, you've got to be using your scouting network. This is where they're playing a heavy role, aren't they? I'm sure they've got metrics that we don't have, but it is so difficult.
What you could just do really quickly is get up Lenny Yoro's FBref.
Yeah.
And just show, like, Liverpool are interested in him. Man United trying to get him. Real Madrid are trying to get him. And, you know, he's 18, over 6 foot. But you look at his numbers. And
yeah, like you just wouldn't.
You know.
You just move on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but with the eye test, you know, they've obviously seen something, and I do think that kind of approach to scouting is more valuable when it comes to centre halves and that. Yeah. Compared to forwards.
Absolutely. Okay, well, sort of finally then, obviously you said Bastoni is obviously the one that you'd be reaching for, but probably not likely. Out of those options that we've sort of looked at, all the names that we've been linked with, all the names that Stated threw up at us based on the stats that we threw into it, who would you say was maybe an achievable best fit?
If we wanted a left footer, which is important caveat, how much would you get Schlotterbeck for, do you think?
Bro, they don't sell for that much, do you?
He's got 3 years on his contract.
Oh, 60?
Is that steep for a centre half?
It's not for Virgil. 60.
It's not Virgil, though.
No, but like that's what you're trying to get, innit? You know, you don't mind paying for it. Would you pay 90 for Bastoni? Over 60 for Schlotterbeck?
No. I don't think I'd pay 90 for a centre half, unless he's like literally moving the needle massively like Van Dijk did. I don't know, it's tricky, innit? I'd like to...
I mean, for me, it's Zagadou. Just saying. I know he's got injury problems.
Because of his name?
Because of his name.
He didn't say his full name.
Oh yeah, Dan Axel Zagadou. Because I didn't have it on the screen to read it. To be fair, I wasn't sure I'd remember it.
But yeah, I like Schlotterbeck as a left footer. But whether it's realistic or not, I'm not sure. I'd also like us to just get Yoro, because he seems to be amazing for his age, which is always a good sign. Okay, so we've basically spent 45 minutes and we've decided that the fella that's going to Real Madrid will probably be the best option for us, even though, you know, terrible in the stats. Yeah. Bastoni would be the best option, but unachievable, and Josh doesn't want to spend 90 million of somebody else's money to make Liverpool better. No, and too reasonable. Schlotterbeck at 60 feels a bit steep, so we're going to buy Marc Guéhi. And we're all going to be disappointed, but we're going to love it. And when we sign him, we're going to support him, because that's what we do at Redmen TV. Josh, thanks again, as always. It'll be you and Dan next week. I'll be on my holidays, which I'm quite looking forward to. Enjoy. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks on the deep dive.